AMAFHH Federation is a not-for-profit multicultural charity organisation that believes firmly in the service of humanity and that charity begins at home.
My dear respected community members, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Greetings from AMAFHH Federation as we come to the end of this chaotic and difficult year of 2020. I'm David Webb, the AMAFHH Federation Secretary, and with me is our founder and chairperson, Batul Gulani.
Assalamu alaikum and greetings to all my brothers and sisters who are watching this video. This year was very challenging and tough, but at the same time we learn a lot if we reflect on those things. We like to begin especially thanks to the Department of Premier Cabinet, to Victorian Multicultural Commission, Department of Health and Human Services, to Victorian Police, to Emergency Crisis Department, to Human Rights Departments and all the other departments and agencies who provide us information throughout the year. So that's why we appreciate them, and they were always there to provide us if we have got any question or any queries or any suggestions. They will always keep those things on board. So we are really very thankful to them.
At the beginning of the year, we faced a major crisis with bushfires happening at a national level. Many people were affected, and as a community, we pitched in and worked together to help and support the people in the country areas of Victoria that were affected. This was succeeded by a further crisis, which none of us had anticipated: the COVID-19 pandemic. In the beginning of this pandemic crisis, one of the first initiatives that we undertook was the Compassionate Community Affairs program. We faced a situation where many Victorians, especially overseas students, were without housing, without funding, and without support. And so we pitched in as a community to find homes for them, to find shelter for them, even to give them food. We were heavily reliant on community donation funding for this, and we did as much as we could to support the international students who face these very difficult situations. Usual events that we run in order to engage with our community were affected, firstly, by restrictions on numbers. So in March, we were planning a very ambitious event. Last year, we collaborated with a local council to host a multicultural harmony festival. And this year, we planned to collaborate with another local council and host a similar festival in another municipality, which was Melton. However, as the date of the event drew close, numbers allowed for gatherings were gradually restricted, and quite close to the last minute, we were forced to make a decision that the event could not go ahead. At that stage, we'd undertaken a lot of work in planning and preparation, and we'd already purchased most of the things that were required to run the event.
This year, even 8th of March, the Women's International Day, we celebrated in a different manner. Journal theme was Each for Equal, but we are continuing our previous year's theme, which was
the reality of women's empowerment and the vital role men play. Approached women and also men from the community, and we asked each of them, what does women's empowerment mean to you? And we got a variety of interesting responses, most of them very supportive and very proactive in terms of what we need to do in terms of women's empowerment, which was excellent.
We figured out that there is a gap in providing messages to the community in terms of simple in their own languages and in simple English. So we arranged a series of recording videos, messages for the community.
So one of the major difficulties that Victoria faced was getting the key messages about social distancing, masking, hand hygiene, and these these key precautions that needed to be undertaken by all community members in order to keep people safe during the pandemic. And in particular, a controversial topic that was discussed in the media was whether there was enough communication with people in culturally and linguistically diverse communities. And so we undertook proactively outreach to these communities by communicating with them through their existing networks and platforms. In order to facilitate this, we created our own series of video messages highlighting, firstly, the key messages that the government was trying to get across in order to keep people safe, and secondly, how to access and how to identify reliable sources of information about COVID-19 and the pandemic.
Perhaps the pandemic brought us together in new ways. This year Ramzan we celebrate in different manner. So we arranged a series of broadcasting transmission sessions. It was from 1st of Ramzan till the end of Ramzan, which consists of 29-30 days.
This year's Ramadan was a very unusual Ramadan. Normally Ramadan is a time when families and communities gather together. And that was the one thing we couldn't do because of the pandemic. In order to keep people safe, we had to be physically distant from each other. And yet, in order to keep people from feeling isolated and feeling marginalised, it was so important that people were connected. How could we achieve this? Through virtual platforms like Zoom and live broadcasts through social media. This was what we had to adapt to during the pandemic. And featuring key guests, including...
They are from government departments, which is the Department of Premier Cabinet, from Victorian Multicultural Commissioner, different faith-based organizations, leaders and scholars, educators. So we invite all them on a daily basis, and it's going through, and it was very successfully worked out.
The program provided opportunities to discuss the current issues that were affecting the community with some of the guests through an interview-style format. And also to ask key guests about current government decisions that were affecting our community members so that we could all feel more connected and linked into these processes.
The thing which I loved most about the Ramzan transmission broadcasting virtual sessions is that we end up with giving gifts to the kids. They celebrate their Eid with having their own gift bag.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Ali Barzvi and I had a really great experience with AMAFHH Federation. Thank you.
Day of Eid al-Fitr, we distributed cake to households across our community, and we cut the cake simultaneously in all of the different homes. So while we couldn't physically be together, we were symbolically sharing in the same food at the same moment, which I thought was a very beautiful sentiment about the unity and the synchronicity that we had between our community members.
So Eid al-Adha was completely in lockdown. For Eid al-Adha messages was quite amazing.
I wish everyone a happy Eid.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Mohsen Haider. I wish everyone a happy Eid.
Assalamualaikum, Eid Mubarak.
We compile empathic messages from different departments in regards to the Muharram, because this is the first year I think throughout the whole world, Victoria was the only place where we were in complete lockdown. So we were getting support from our community and as well our government and other non-for-profit departments. We were able to contact them, though they were very busy, heavily busy. Still, they help us to give short messages for our community. The Department of Premier Cabinet issued a special letter to us as well. So the video message was compiled with the help of Department of Health and Human Services, Victorian Multicultural Commissioner, the Commissioner of Emergency and Crisis, the Race Discrimination Commissioner, the Vic Police, and our scholars and our community leaders.
During the first 10 days of Muharram, we hosted another live broadcast program. I had the honour of being a co-host for that program myself, along with Sister Kinza Abbas, one of our youth volunteers.
Calls to you, oh my master Husaina, Wallah Zahra Husaina. We have only one wish to visit Karbala. People come to this land to visit Abba Abdullah. To visit Abba Abdullah. I only wish to be your servant, Mawla.
We had participation from families, children and young people throughout our community. And they participated through giving recitations of various du'as and ziyarah and surahs from the Quran, which are all traditional ways in which we commemorate these occasions. Traditionally, these are done at gatherings, but we did it in a live broadcast format. At that time, we were in stage 4 lockdown and we couldn't gather, but we were able to host the programs remotely without any co-located members of the community by giving some mentoring to each of the families who participated on how to use the broadcasting technologies such as Zoom. The program was followed up with a further broadcast which went over 4 evenings during the commemoration of Arba'een, the 40 days after the death of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. This I also co-hosted with Sister Zahra Hussein, another active youth volunteer from our community. She was also an excellent co-host, and again we received a great deal of enthusiastic and dedicated participation from children and young people and their families.
Being a Shia Muslim and an active member of my local community, socializing is an important aspect. In particular, commemorating the martyrdom of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the grandson of the Prophet, peace be upon him, has been very challenging this year and quite upsetting as well. However, we came together as a collective and devised a plan to facilitate the mourning period on virtual platforms.
We end this Muharram and Safar, which is Ashura and Arba'een commemoration to Eid Miladun Nabi in Rabiul Awwal, and it was again to live transmission, which was conducted by David Webb and co-hosted by Sister Farwa Sayyida.
Assalamu alaikum. This year, one of the programs that AMAFHH Federation celebrated was Eid Miladun Nabi virtual program to celebrate the birth week of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Children and youth of the community were given the opportunity to participate in the program through the recitations of nasheeds and speeches. Children were given the opportunity to draw and express their love for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and share the drawing during the event.
Throughout the commemorations of Muharram and Arba'een, beyond the children and youth who participated directly as reciters, there was broader participation from children and young people throughout the community who expressed themselves creatively by creating drawings and collages and other artworks which were sent in and featured on the program and later posted on our social media and websites. On the 21st of September, we commemorated the International Day of Peace. We had another live broadcast program because we were still at that stage, in stage 4 lockdown, and we had the honour of having some very important guests join us remotely. They included VMC Commissioner Tina Hussain and Secretary Nazrin Jafari, who engaged in discussions with us about the importance of overcoming sectarianism in the community. We were also joined by Chin Tan, the Race Discrimination Commissioner, currently with the Australian Human Rights Commission, And he also enjoyed robust discussions with us, which were broadcast to our community, and he answered very important questions that people had in these times about these issues.
We were so proud to announce at the end of our year thing about a school project, which was in our things to do for a long time. Education is the key to bring change in the society.
You can refer to our scholars regarding the importance of having an Islamic school in our community. Education is something that is very highly emphasized in Islam. And it's in memory of one of the greatest advocates of education and the greatest Islamic leaders in history, Imam Jafar as-Sadiq alayhi salam, that we have decided to name our school. As this year draws to a close, hopefully we'll see better times ahead, easier times. But the pandemic isn't over yet. We're still all in this together, and I wish to extend our heartfelt thanks to all of our community members, our volunteers, the children and young people who have participated with us, and our important stakeholders from government, from agencies, and from community groups who have worked with us to ensure that what we achieved this year could be made possible. We wish you all the best in the holiday season, and we thank you very much, and we look forward to working with you once more in the new year.
See you all next year with new projects and plans.